Tonight we drift toward the farthest thing you will ever almost see, the faint and ancient boundary we call the edge of the observable universe. It is not a wall, it is not the end of anything. It is simply as far as the light has had time to travel toward us, and beyond it waits a vastness no telescope will ever reach. Together we will wander to that quiet edge and wonder softly about what lies past it. This is Midnight Science, where the universe becomes a lullaby. If these journeys help you rest, a gentle like and subscribe helps another tired soul find us in the dark. And before you drift, tell me softly where you are listening from and what hour glows on your clock tonight. So let yourself arrive here, slowly, the way the evening arrives, without ever announcing itself. There is nowhere you need to be tonight. There is nothing left to finish. The day has already done whatever it was going to do, and now it is folding itself away behind you, and you are allowed to let it go. Find the place where your body is resting. Feel the weight of it. Feel how the bed or the chair or the floor is holding you up without any effort on your part, the way it has always been willing to. You do not have to hold yourself together right now. Something larger is doing that for you. Let your shoulders come down from wherever they have been hiding. Let the small muscles around your eyes go soft. Let your jaw unclench, just a little, and then a little more. And take one slow breath in through the nose, gentle and unhurried, and let it move all the way down into you. Hold it for the briefest moment, the way you might hold something precious, and then let it go, slowly, out into the dark. Good, there is no rush here. We have all the time in the world, and tonight, in a way, the world is exactly what we are going to talk about. The world, and everything past it, and everything past that. This is Midnight Science, where the universe becomes a lullaby. And tonight we are going to wander toward the farthest edge there is, the place where seeing itself runs out. But we are going to get there slowly. We are going to take the long and gentle road, the one that lets you fall asleep somewhere along the way, if that is what your body wants. You will not miss anything. The journey will carry you, whether you are awake for all of it or not. If these quiet journeys help you rest, a soft like and subscribe helps another tired soul find their way here in the dark. That is all. No more will be asked of you tonight. So settle in. Let the room around you grow dim in your mind. And let us begin with something you have seen 10,000 times without ever quite seeing it. The night sky. You have looked up at it your whole life. As a child perhaps, lying in grass that was still warm from the day. As someone older, stepping outside for a moment and tilting your head back without really meaning to. And every time, it looked like a ceiling. A dome of black scattered with little points of light, fixed and quiet and far away, all of it happening right now, all of it the present moment pinned above you like a painting on a wall. But here is the first soft and strange thing, the first quiet shock of the night. That is not what you are seeing at all. The night sky is not a window onto the present. It is a museum of the past. Every single point of light up there is old. Not one of them is showing you what is happening now. Every star you have ever wished upon was showing you a moment that had already passed, sometimes long ago, sometimes so long ago that the words begin to lose their footing. Let that settle for a moment, the way a stone settles to the bottom of still water. When you look up at a star, you are not seeing the star, you are seeing the light that left the star. And light, for all its speed, takes time to travel. It has to cross the distance between there and here, and that distance is so vast that the crossing can take years, or centuries, or millions upon millions of years. So the light arriving in your eye tonight set out on its journey long before tonight existed. It has been traveling the whole time, patient and silent, just to reach you. This means that to look up is always to look backward. There is no other way to do it. The sky cannot show you the present. It can only show you what once was, delivered late, like a letter that took an unimaginably long time to arrive. And some of these letters are very old indeed. There are stars whose light has been traveling toward you for so long that it left them before there were oceans on the earth, before there were fish, before there was anything here at all that could have looked up and wondered. That light set out across the dark when our world was still young and strange and unrecognizable, and it has been falling toward us faithfully ever since. And only tonight, only in this exact quiet moment, did it finally complete the journey and arrive in the small dark room behind your eyes. There is something tender in that, if you let yourself feel it. The universe is not hiding the past from you. It is showing it to you. It is holding the past up for you to see, gently, every single night, asking nothing in return. Every glance upward is a kind of remembering. The sky is the universe being kind enough to keep nothing from you, only to deliver it slowly. So we do not need to mourn this. The fact that the stars are old light is not a loss. It is closer to a gift. It means that nothing the universe has ever done is truly gone. It is all still traveling. It is all still on its way to somewhere, to someone, to some pair of eyes that has not opened yet. The light from this very night, the light leaving the things around you right now, is already setting out into the dark, and somewhere, sometime, in a place we will never know, it may arrive. But to understand how this works, to really rest inside it, we need one small and beautiful idea. We need to understand a little about light and a little about distance, and we will go slowly, and nothing about it will be difficult. Let us begin with the simplest fact, the one everything else leans upon. Light moves. We do not usually think of it that way, because in a room, in a house, light seems to simply be there the instant you want it. You open your eyes and the world is already lit. There is no waiting. The light from the lamp reaches you so quickly that it feels like no time at all has passed. And on the scale of a room, that is almost true. Light is fast. Astonishingly, almost unbelievably fast. In a single second, a beam of light could circle the entire Earth not once but nearly 8 times. It could leave your eye and reach the moon in just over a second. It could cross from the sun to the Earth in about 8 minutes, which means that the sunlight warming your face on a summer afternoon is already 8 minutes old by the time it touches your skin. The sun you see is always the sun as it was a few minutes ago, so even our own star is a little bit of the past. And this is the thing to rest inside tonight. Light is fast, but it is not infinitely fast. It has a speed, a real, fixed, specific speed. And that speed, as far as anyone has ever been able to tell, cannot be beaten. It is the fastest anything in the universe is allowed to go. Nothing with substance, nothing that carries information, nothing real can outrun it. You can think of it, if you like, as the universe having a speed limit, not a rule that someone wrote down, but something woven into the fabric of everything, as deep as the difference between up and down, as built in as the fact that the future comes after the past. There is a fastest possible pace at which one thing can ever reach another, and that pace is the speed of light, and the cosmos holds to it everywhere, without exception, in every direction, for all of time. This single fact, this gentle and unbreakable limit, is the reason the sky is a museum. Because if light could move infinitely fast, then everything would arrive the instant it happened, and the sky would show you the present after all. But it cannot. So everything arrives late, and the farther away a thing is, the later its light arrives, and the deeper into the past you are looking when you finally see it. Which brings us to distance, and to one of the loveliest small ideas in all of science. When the distances grow so large that ordinary numbers begin to feel meaningless, we measure them not in miles and not in any unit you would use to describe a journey on Earth. We measure them in time. We measure them in how long the light takes to cross them, and the most common of these measures has a name that is quietly poetic, a name that holds the whole idea inside it: the light year. A light year is not a measure of time, even though it sounds like one. It is a measure of distance. It is simply the distance that light travels in one full year, moving at that fastest possible pace, never slowing, never resting, the entire time. Picture it: a single beam of light setting out and traveling without pause through the whole turning of a year, through every season, through every sunrise it will never see, because it is the thing that makes them. The distance it covers in all that time, that vast and silent stretch, is one light year. And it is enormous. Almost too enormous to feel. If you tried to write out the number of miles in a single light year, you would run out of patience long before you ran out of zeros. It is trillions upon trillions of miles. It is a distance so large that the human imagination simply slides off of it, the way a hand slides off something too smooth to grip. So do not try to grip it. Let it stay large and soft and unmeasured in your mind. The point is not the number. The point is the gentleness underneath it. Because once you know what a light year is, the sky changes meaning entirely. The nearest star to our own, the closest neighbor we have in all the vastness, sits a little more than 4 light years away, which means that its light takes more than 4 years to reach you. When you look at it, you are seeing it as it was more than 4 years ago. The you who could have looked at it then was a slightly different you, with different worries, in a different season of life. And the light, only now arriving, was already on its way back then, crossing the dark all those years while your life went on, arriving at last, tonight, in your eyes. And that is the nearest one, the close one, the neighbor. The others are farther, much farther. There are stars whose light has traveled for hundreds of years to reach you, so that you are seeing them as they were before your grandparents were born. There are glowing clouds and distant suns whose light has crossed thousands of years, so that to look at them is to look back past the building of every monument humanity has ever raised. And there are whole islands of stars, entire galaxies, so far away that their light has been traveling for millions of years, falling toward us the entire time, leaving them when the earth wore a completely different face. This is what it means to say the light is older than the oceans. Somewhere up there, faint and quiet, is light that began its journey before the seas had filled, before anything swam, before the world had become a place where someone could one day lie in the dark and listen to a voice describe it. That light has outlived oceans, It has outlived continents in their old shapes. It has been crossing the dark, untouched and unhurried, for longer than there has been a here for it to reach. And tonight, after all of that, it arrives. There is no grief in this, only a kind of vast and patient companionship. The universe has been sending you letters for a very long time. It is still sending them. It will go on, sending them long after this night has ended and you have drifted off into sleep. You do not have to read them all. You do not have to understand them. You only have to know that they are arriving, always, faithfully, whether you are watching or not. So when you look up, you are never alone with the present. You are surrounded by every version of the past that the light has chosen to carry to you. The young star and the old one, the neighbor and the stranger. The light from before there were oceans, lying quietly beside the light from only a few years ago, all of it gathered together in one sky, all of it arriving at once, as if time itself had been folded into a single gentle sheet and laid across the dark for you to rest beneath. And here is where the whole night begins to open. Because if looking up is looking back, and if the farther you look, the further back you see, then there must be a question waiting at the end of that road. A natural one, a quiet one, the kind that arrives on its own when you have followed the idea far enough. What happens if you keep looking? What happens if you look not at the nearest star, and not at the farther ones, and not even at the galaxies whose light is older than the oceans, but past all of them, and then past the things past those, and then further still? What happens if you keep following the light backward, deeper and deeper into the past, gathering older and older letters from farther and farther away? Does it ever stop? Is there a furthest letter, a last one, an oldest possible light, beyond which there is simply nothing more to see, not because the universe ends there, but because the looking does? That is the question we will carry into the dark tonight. The question of the edge. Not the edge of the universe, exactly, but the edge of what can be seen, the place where the light runs out, the place where the museum of the past finally reaches its oldest exhibit, and there is nothing hung upon the wall beyond it. There is such a place. There is a furthest distance the eye and the telescope can ever reach. There is an oldest light, the very first that was ever free to travel, and it surrounds us right now, faint and cool and quiet, in every direction we could ever turn. And the deepest question of all, the one that will draw us slowly through this entire night, is the simplest to ask and the hardest to answer. What is hiding beyond it? What lies past the edge of everything we can see? Is it more of the same? More stars, more galaxies, more quiet worlds, continuing on forever? Is it something stranger? Regions where even the rules might be different? Doors opening onto cosmoses unlike our own? Or is it something we are simply, gently, permanently not allowed to know? A mystery the universe keeps not out of cruelty, but out of the same tenderness that sends us its old light every night. We will wander toward all of it, slowly, softly, with no urgency at all. For now, you do not need to hold any of it. You only need to know that the sky above you is older and kinder and stranger than it has ever looked. That every point of light is a small piece of the past, faithfully delivered. That to look up is to be remembered to, and to remember in return. And that somewhere out there, at the farthest reach of seeing, an edge is waiting, quiet and patient, holding whatever it holds. Let that be enough for now. Let the question settle into you the way the breath settles, without effort, without answer, and rest here for a moment beneath the old light. We have a long and gentle way to go, so let us take the question we ended with and give it a shape. Let us turn it from a feeling into something you can almost hold in your hands, the way you might cup a small warm stone in the dark. We said that to look up is to look back. We said that the farther a thing is, the older the light it sends, and the deeper into the past you fall when you finally see it. And we said that somewhere out there, at the very end of looking, an edge is waiting. Tonight, gently, we are going to draw the map that leads to that edge. We are going to give a name and a shape to everything we can see, and the name it carries is quietly beautiful in its honesty. We call it the observable universe. Notice that word, observable. Not the whole universe, not all there is, only the part we are able to observe, the part whose light has had the time to reach us. It is a careful word, a humble word, and it tells you everything about what kind of map we are drawing. We are not mapping the universe itself, we are mapping our view of it. We are drawing the limits of our own seeing. So let us begin to give it a shape, slowly. Imagine yourself at the center of everything, not because you are important, and not because the universe was built around you, but simply because of how light works. Light comes to you from every direction. It arrives from above and below, from left and right, from before you and behind you, falling inward toward your eyes from all sides at once. And so the region you can see is not a flat picture pinned to a ceiling, the way the night sky pretends to be. It is a sphere, a great round bubble of space, and you, the observer, are sitting at the very middle of it. Let that settle. You are not looking up at the universe. You are floating inside a sphere of it, and the sphere reaches out around you in every direction equally, as far as the light has managed to travel since the very beginning of time. That is what the observable universe is. It is a bubble of everything whose light has had time to reach you. Inside the bubble, the light has arrived. We can see it. We can study it. It is part of our map. Outside the bubble, the light is still on its way, still crossing the dark, not yet here, and so those regions remain unseen, not because they are not real, but because their letters have not yet been delivered. And here is a gentle and strange thing to rest inside. This bubble belongs to you, to here, to this exact point in space where you happen to be resting tonight. Someone standing somewhere else, far away across the cosmos, would have their own bubble, centered on themselves, reaching out around them in every direction, gathering the light that has had time to reach them. Their bubble would overlap with yours, sharing much of the same sky, but it would not be quite the same. They would sit at the center of their own observable universe, just as you sit at the center of yours. There is no single center to all of this. There are only centers, countless of them, one for every place a pair of eyes could ever open. The universe gives each observer their own bubble, their own gentle sphere of the visible, and asks none of them to be more central than any other. You are at the middle of your map, and that is enough. That is simply how the seeing works. So we have a shape now, a sphere centered on us, holding everything whose light has arrived. The map has a form. Now, let us ask how large it is. And here is where the night begins to grow wonderfully strange. The observable universe, this bubble around us, stretches about 93 billion light years across. Let that number arrive slowly, because it does not want to be rushed. 93 billion light years. Remember what a single light year was. It was the distance light travels in one whole year, never resting, trillions upon trillions of miles, a stretch so large the imagination slid right off it. That was one. And now we are speaking of 93 billion of them, laid end to end, just to cross from one side of the visible to the other. You cannot feel that number. No one can. It is not built to be felt. So let us not try to swallow it whole. Let us instead do the only kind thing we can do with a number like that. Let us shrink it down to something small enough to rest in the palm of a hand, and then, slowly, let it grow back to its true size. Imagine for a moment that we shrink the entire observable universe down until all of it, every galaxy, every star, every distant glowing thing fits neatly inside a single city. The whole visible cosmos, reduced to the size of the town where you might live. In this tiny city, our home galaxy, the Milky Way, with its hundreds of billions of stars, would be smaller than a single grain of sand resting on a windowsill. Everything you have ever seen in the night sky, every star you have ever named, would be packed into a speck far too small to find. Now hold that for a breath. The whole sky, the size of a grain of sand, lost somewhere in a city. And the city, in this image, is the entire observable universe. And now let it grow back. Let the city swell outward. Let the grain of sand become the Milky Way again, vast beyond knowing, so large that light itself takes 100,000 years just to cross from one edge of it to the other. And then remember that this enormous galaxy is only the single grain of sand in the city. Let the city keep growing, past anything a mind can follow, until it has returned to its true size, 93 billion light years from end to end. And you are once again resting somewhere near the middle of it, small and warm and held. That is the bubble we live inside. That is the map of everything we can see. But now we arrive at the loveliest puzzle of the whole night, the one that makes people sit up a little, the one that sounds almost like a riddle whispered in the dark. And we will move through it slowly, because there is nothing here to solve, only something to wonder at. The universe, as far as we can tell, is about 13.8 billion years old. That is the time that has passed since the very beginning, since the moment everything we know began to unfold. 13.8 billion years of history. A long time, longer than the mind can truly hold, but a number, at least, that sits beside the other one. And here is the puzzle. If the universe is only 13.8 billion years old, and if light is the fastest thing there is, and if nothing can outrun it, then how can the observable universe be 93 billion light years across? Sit with that for a gentle moment. Light can only travel for as long as there has been time for it to travel. The oldest light has been moving for about 13.8 billion years, because that is how old everything is. So you might expect the farthest we could ever see to be about 13.8 billion light years in any direction. That would already be staggering. That alone would be more than enough. But the bubble is far larger than that. It reaches not 13 billion light years outward, but more than 46 billion light years in every direction, which is why the whole sphere measures about 93 billion across. The map is far, far wider than the age of the universe should allow. The light has not had enough time to cross a distance that large. And yet the distance is there. How can this be? How can we be seeing things that are now so much farther away than light could ever have reached? The answer is soft, and it is strange, and it is one of the deepest truths the cosmos has ever offered us. The answer is that space itself has not been sitting still. We tend to think of space as a stage, a fixed, empty backdrop, a stillness in which all the moving things move. The stars travel, the galaxies drift, but the emptiness between them, we imagine, simply stays put, patient and unchanging, the way the floor of a room stays put while you walk across it. But that is not how it is. Space is not a fixed stage. Space is more like a thing that grows. Ever since the beginning, the space between distant galaxies has been gently, ceaselessly stretching, expanding, swelling outward in every direction at once. Not the galaxies racing apart through space, but the space between them quietly growing larger, carrying everything along with it, like patterns drifting apart on the surface of something rising. So, picture it this way. Long ago, a piece of light set out toward us from some distant place. At the moment it began its journey, that place was much closer to us than it is now. The light started crossing the gap, but while it traveled, all those long billions of years, the space it was moving through kept stretching. The gap it was trying to close kept widening behind it and beneath it. The very ground it was crossing was growing larger as it crossed. And so when the light finally arrives, tonight, in your eyes, the place it came from is no longer where it was. That distant source has been carried far, far away by the swelling of space, much farther than the light could ever have traveled on its own. The light shows you where the thing used to be, but the thing itself is now unimaginably more distant, pushed outward by all those ages of expansion, until the bubble of everything we can see has grown to 93 billion light-years wide, far wider than its years alone could ever explain. There is something almost tender in this, if you let it be tender. The universe has been gently making room. It has been quietly creating more space, more distance, more vastness the entire time, never stopping, never announcing itself, simply growing in the dark the way a sleeping thing grows. The bubble is so large not because the light was fast, but because the universe was generous, because it kept opening itself wider and wider while the oldest light was still on its way. You do not need to understand the mechanism tonight. You only need to feel the shape of it. The map is larger than time because space itself has been growing. The room has stretched while we sat inside it. The walls have drifted gently outward, and they are drifting still, even now, even tonight, even as you breathe. So let us return to the bubble and look at it once more, now that we know its true and gentle size. You are at the center, as every observer is at their own center. Around you, in every direction, reaches the sphere of the visible, 93 billion light-years from edge to edge. Inside it, packed into that grain of sand we imagined, lies our galaxy, and beyond it, scattered through the great, stretching dark, lie galaxies beyond counting, not thousands, not millions. The observable universe is thought to hold something close to 2 trillion galaxies, each one a city of stars, each one filled with hundreds of billions of suns, each one holding worlds we will never name. 2 trillion galaxies, all inside the bubble, all sending their old light inward toward the center, toward you, toward every observer at once. And every one of those galaxies has been carried slowly outward, all the while by the patient growing of space, so that the things we see are always farther now than they look, always older than they seem, always a little more distant than the light lets on. This is the map of everything we can see. This is the observable universe, a sphere of arriving light, centered on the watcher, swollen far past its years by the quiet expansion of space, holding 2 trillion islands of stars in its gentle dark. And it has an edge. That is the thing to carry with you now, softly, as the rest begins to grow quiet. This map, for all its size, is not endless. It does not simply fade away into more and more forever. It has a boundary, a furthest reach, a place where the bubble stops, where the arriving light gives way to light that has not arrived, where the seen becomes the unseen. Out there, at about 46 billion light years in every direction, the map comes to its edge. Not a wall, not a fence, not the end of the universe. We will come to understand in time exactly what kind of edge it is, and it is stranger and softer than any wall could ever be, but it is there. The bubble has a surface, the seeing has a limit, and everything we have drawn tonight, the whole vast sphere, the 2 trillion galaxies, the grain of sand, and the city it floats in, all of it sits inside that boundary, held within the edge of what can be observed. And the question that has been waiting since the first words of tonight is still waiting there now, patient and quiet, resting against that edge like someone leaning gently on a far wall in the dark. What is on the other side? What lies just past the furthest reach of the map? What waits in the places whose light has not yet arrived, and in the places whose light may never arrive at all? Is the universe simply more of itself out there? More galaxies, more stars, more quiet rooms of the same vast house? Or is it something we are not built to see, not built to reach, not built to know? That edge is the true subject of tonight. We have spent this time drawing the map only so that we could find its border, only so that we could stand gently at the rim of everything visible and look outward into the dark beyond it. For now, rest at the center of your bubble. Let the sphere hold you, the way the bed holds you, the way the breath holds you. Let the 2 trillion galaxies drift slowly outward in their silent, generous dark. And let the edge wait. It is patient. It has been waiting a very long time. We will reach it soon. So we have come to the edge of the map. We are standing at the rim of everything visible, looking outward into the dark, and the question we have carried all night is finally close enough to touch. Why here? Why does the seeing stop where it stops? Why is there an edge at all? Let us answer it slowly, the way you would answer a child who asks something enormous at bedtime, gently, without strain, one small piece at a time. The reason the light runs out is, in the end, the simplest reason there could be. It is time, that is all. Not a barrier, not a wall someone built, not a place where the universe gives up and becomes nothing. The edge of the observable universe exists for one quiet reason, and the reason is that there has only been so much time, and light can only do so much with the time it has been given. Let us walk through it, softly. We have said that light is fast, the fastest thing there is. Nothing real can outrun it. But we have also said the more important half, the half that shapes this entire night. Light is fast, but it is not infinitely fast. It does not arrive everywhere at once. It has to cross the distance. It has to travel. And traveling takes time. So imagine the very beginning. Imagine the universe is young, freshly born, and light begins to stream out across it in every direction. From that first moment, the light starts traveling, and it never stops, and it never rests, crossing the dark at the only speed it knows. A year passes, and the light has crossed 1 light year. 1,000 years pass, and it has crossed 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000. The light keeps going faithfully the whole time. And now, tonight, about 13.8 billion years have passed since that beginning. That is how much time light has had to travel. 13.8 billion years of crossing the dark. It is an almost unimaginable amount of time, and the light has used every moment of it, never pausing, always moving toward us. But here is the gentle truth at the center of everything. Light can only have traveled for as long as there has been time for it to travel. It cannot have come from farther than its journey allows. If a piece of light would need 20 billion years to reach us, but only 13.8 billion years have passed, then it simply is not here yet. It is still on its way. It is still crossing the dark, somewhere out there, patient and unhurried, and it will not arrive tonight, or this year, or in any year we will live to see. That is why the seeing stops. That is the whole reason for the edge. Beyond a certain distance, the light from out there has not had enough time to reach us. It is not that nothing is there. It is that the letters from those places have not yet been delivered. They were sent. They are coming. But the distance is so great and the time so limited that they have not finished the journey. So the edge of the observable universe is not made of stone. It is made of time. Let that phrase rest in you for a moment, because it is one of the softest truths in all of this. We tend to imagine edges as solid things. The edge of a table, the edge of a cliff, the edge of a room where the wall stands firm and says, "No further." But the edge of the visible universe is nothing like that. There is no wall out there. There is no surface to press your hand against. If you could somehow travel to the place we call the edge, you would find nothing unusual waiting for you. Just more space, more stars, more galaxies drifting quietly along, as ordinary as the ones nearest home. The edge is not a place. It is a limit of seeing. It is simply the farthest distance from which light has had the time to reach us. We have a name for it, a quiet and fitting name. We call it the cosmic horizon. And that word horizon is perhaps the kindest word in this entire night, because you already understand it in your body. Think of standing on the shore of a great calm sea. You look out across the water, and far away the sea seems to meet the sky in a single soft line. That line is the horizon. And you know, without being told, that it is not the edge of the ocean. The ocean does not stop there. There is no wall of water standing at the horizon. There are more waves out there, and ships, and distant shores, all of it real, all of it continuing, simply hidden from you by the gentle curve of the world. The horizon is not where the sea ends. It is only as far as you can see from where you happen to stand. The cosmic horizon is exactly that, lifted up into the sky and wrapped around you in every direction. It is not where the universe ends. It is only as far as we can see from where we happen to be. Beyond it, the universe goes on. More waves, more shores, more islands of stars, all of it real, all of it continuing, simply hidden from us by the gentle limit of time and light. And just as the sailor on the calm sea sits at the center of their own circle of ocean, you sit at the center of your own horizon of sky. Move to a different place in the cosmos and your horizon moves with you, always centered on you, always reaching the same distance outward, always hiding the same kind of more beyond it. The horizon belongs to the watcher. It is not a feature of the universe. It is a feature of looking. So that is the first layer, and it is enough on its own to explain the edge. Light is not infinitely fast. The universe is only so old. So beyond a certain distance, the light has not yet had time to arrive, and that distance is the cosmic horizon, a boundary made not of stone, but of time. But now, let us add a second layer, softly, the one we began to feel in the part before, because the story is gentler and stranger than even time alone would make it. We said that space itself is not a fixed stage. We said that the space between distant galaxies has been quietly stretching, expanding, growing larger in every direction the whole time, never stopping. And this gentle growing changes the picture in a way that is almost tender to consider. Here is what it means. Light from a distant galaxy sets out toward us, and it begins crossing the dark. But while it travels, the space it is moving through keeps stretching beneath it. The distance it is trying to cross keeps growing. It is a little like trying to walk towards someone across a floor that is slowly being pulled longer as you walk. You are still moving forward. You are still making progress, but the destination keeps drifting farther away as you go. For galaxies that are not too far, the light wins this gentle contest. The stretching is slow enough and the distance small enough that the light crosses the growing space and reaches us in the end. Its journey is lengthened by the expansion, made older and slower, but it arrives. We see it. It is part of our bubble. But for things that are far enough away, something quietly remarkable happens. The space between us and them is stretching so much, adding so much new distance, that their light can never close the gap. The floor is being pulled longer faster than the light can walk across it. These distant regions are, in a sense, receding from us faster than their light can swim toward us. Not because they are racing away through space, but because the space itself, all the vast stretches of it lying between us, is growing faster than light can cross it. And so the light from those regions will never arrive. Not tonight. Not in any number of years. Never. It is forever swimming toward a shore that keeps moving away. This is the second reason the seeing stops. Not only has some light not had time to reach us yet, some light can never reach us at all, because the expansion of space carries its source away faster than the light can travel. There is a true and final limit out there, a distance beyond which the universe is not merely unseen but unseeable, sealed away from us not by a wall but by the patient, ceaseless growing of the space between. And here is the tender part, the part to hold gently as you rest, because space keeps stretching, and because that stretching is slowly speeding up. The boundary of what we can ever reach is not fixed. It is changing, and it is changing in a quiet, almost sorrowful direction. Little by little, galaxy by galaxy, things that we can see today are drifting toward that final limit. The expansion is carrying them outward, faster and faster, until eventually their light, too, will no longer be able to reach us. They will cross the line. They will pass beyond the horizon of what is reachable, and their letters will stop arriving, and in the deepest future they will simply fade from view, not because they have died, but because the space between us has grown too vast for light to bridge. More of the universe is leaving our view every moment, quietly, without drama, without any sound at all. Even now, as you breathe, the most distant galaxies are slipping a little farther toward that edge, the space between us widening, the light stretching thinner, the slow farewell continuing as it always has. But do not let this become a grief. Let it be soft. The universe is not abandoning us. It is simply vast and growing, and we are small watchers near the middle of one bubble, and the bubble cannot hold everything forever. There is something almost peaceful in it, the way there is something peaceful in watching a tide go slowly out. The leaving is gentle, the leaving is patient, and there is still so much here, so much light still arriving, so many galaxies still inside the bubble, that the slow departure of the farthest ones feels less like loss and more like the natural breathing of something enormous and alive. So now we understand the edge in full. The seeing stops because light is not infinitely fast and time is not infinite. The seeing stops because space stretches, carrying the farthest things away faster than their light can come. The edge is made of time and made of expansion and made of nothing solid at all. But there is one more thing to say about the edge tonight, and it is the most beautiful of all, because it is the thing that actually waits at the very rim of seeing. There is, in a way, a furthest light, an oldest light, the first light there ever was, and it is, as close as anything can be, the wall that the edge almost has. Let us go gently toward it. We have spoken of looking back in time, of how the farther you look, the deeper into the past you see. And we have spoken of the universe being 13.8 billion years old. So you might imagine that if you looked far enough, you could look all the way back to the very beginning, to the first moment, and see it glowing out there at the edge. But you cannot quite, and the reason is lovely. In its earliest days, the universe was not clear. It was not a dark sky scattered with light. It was something more like a glowing fog. Everything was packed together, hot and dense and bright, a thick and luminous mist filling all of space, and light could not travel freely through that fog. It could not cross from one place to another. It was trapped, scattered, bounced endlessly about, unable to make any journey at all. If you had been there, you could not have seen across the room, because the room itself was made of glowing mist, and the light could never get through. For a long time, by the measures of those first ages, the universe stayed this way, a bright, opaque fog, holding all its light tangled inside itself, unable to let any of it go. And then, slowly, the fog began to clear. As the universe expanded, it cooled, and after about 380,000 years, it had cooled just enough for something gentle to happen. The fog thinned, the mist settled. The tangled, trapped light was suddenly set free, able for the first time to travel in long straight lines across the newly clear space. The universe became transparent. It became, for the first time, a place where light could cross from there to here. You can think of it as the moment the universe took its first clear breath, the fog lifting, the mist parting, the first true dawn, not of a sun, but of seeing itself. And that first freed light, that ancient glow released when the fog finally cleared, is still traveling. It has been crossing the dark ever since, for the entire age of the universe, and it is still arriving even now, falling inward toward us from every direction at once. We have a name for it. We call it the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light we can ever detect, the afterglow of the universe becoming clear. It surrounds us completely. It comes from everywhere in the sky, a faint and even glow filling all directions, the gentle warmth left over from that first transparent dawn. Stretched and cooled by all the billions of years of expansion, it is no longer bright. It is no longer the fierce glow of the early fog. It has been softened by time into the faintest whisper of warmth, far too faint for your eyes to catch. But there, always there, the quiet light of the infant universe still washing over you in the dark. And this is the closest thing the edge has to a wall, because we cannot see past it. We cannot look any farther back than that first clear light. Beyond it, deeper toward the beginning, lies the fog, and the fog is opaque, and no light from before it can reach us, because light could not travel then at all. So the cosmic microwave background is the furthest curtain, the oldest visible thing, the final glow at the rim of seeing, beyond which the universe is not dark, but simply hidden behind its own ancient mist. It is not a true wall. There is no stone there, no surface, no end. It is only the last light that was ever free to come to us, and behind it the trapped fog of the very beginning, forever beyond our sight. But it sits at the edge of the map like a soft and glowing horizon, the boundary of everything we can ever observe, the oldest letter the universe will ever be able to send. So rest now at the edge of seeing, beneath that faint and ancient glow. Let it surround you the way it truly does, coming gently from every direction, the warmth of the first dawn still arriving after all this time. The light runs out not because the universe ends, but because time is finite and space keeps growing, and the oldest fog will never let its light escape. The edge is made of time, the edge is made of patience, and just inside it glows the first light there ever was, faint and even and kind, washing quietly over a small watcher resting in the dark. We have reached the rim, we have understood why it is there, and next we will linger on that oldest light itself, that first clear glow, and let it carry us deeper into the quiet. For now, breathe. Let the ancient warmth settle over you. There is nothing more to reach for tonight. We have reached the rim of seeing. We have stood at the edge of the map and understood why it is there. And now, instead of pressing forward, let us do something gentler. Let us stay here for a while. Let us sit at the edge and look at what glows there, that faint and ancient light, the oldest light in existence, and let it tell us the story of its own beginning, because there is a story, and it is one of the most quietly beautiful stories the universe has ever told. To hear it, we need to go back, not just a little, not to the time of the dinosaurs or the first fish or the cooling of the young earth. We need to go back much further than any of that. We need to travel in our minds to a time before the earth, before the sun, before the stars themselves, back through all of those ages, all those billions of years, to the very earliest chapter of everything, to a time when the universe was so young that it had not yet become the kind of place where anything like you or me or a quiet night could exist. Let us go there now, softly. In the beginning, the universe was small. Not small the way a house is small, not small the way a country is small compared to a planet. Small in a way that defies every ordinary sense of the word, packed into a density so extreme that nothing about it resembled anything you have ever seen. And it was hot, ferociously, impossibly hot. Temperatures so vast that no flame, no furnace, no star could ever match them. The heat of the earliest moments was heat beyond heat, energy beyond energy, everything crushed together so tightly that the difference between one thing and another had not yet fully emerged. And in that heat and density, light could not travel. This is the part to hold gently, because it is the part that makes the rest so beautiful. We think of light as something free, something that streams across a room, that pours through a window, that crosses the dark between the stars, without anyone needing to give it permission. And in the universe we know that is true. Light moves freely. It crosses space in long, clean lines, carrying its messages from there to here. But in those earliest days, the universe was nothing like the one we know. It was thick, it was crowded, and it was opaque. Imagine a fog. Not a light fog, not the kind that softens a hillside in the early morning and burns away by noon. Imagine a fog so thick and so bright that you could not see your own hand in front of your face. A fog that glowed from within, every part of it shining, every particle of it scattering light in every direction, so that the light could never travel in a straight line, could never get anywhere, could never cross from one place to another. It was trapped, caught, held inside the fog like a sound caught inside a thick wall. That is what the early universe was, a glowing fog, filling all of space. Not a fog floating in space, but a fog that was space, hot and dense and luminous and completely, utterly opaque. Light bounced and scattered and collided and bounced again, endlessly, going nowhere, unable to make even the shortest journey. The universe was bright, intensely bright, but it could not see itself. Its own light was locked inside it like a voice caught in a throat that cannot open. And this went on for a long time, by the measures of those first ages, 380,000 years. That number sounds enormous to a human ear. 380,000 years is far longer than our species has existed. It is longer than the history of every civilization combined. But in the story of the universe, it is a tiny chapter, a brief and glowing prologue, a moment, really, compared to the billions that would follow. And yet this moment was the one that changed everything, because at the end of it, something gentle happened. Something so quiet that there was no sound to mark it. No flash, no explosion, just a slow and patient shift, like the coming of a dawn so gradual that no single instant can be called the beginning of morning. The universe cooled. It had been cooling all along, of course. From the first moment, the expansion was carrying everything outward, and as it expanded, it cooled, the way your breath cools when you open your mouth wide and let the air spread out. But for all those hundreds of thousands of years, it was still too hot, still too dense, still too crowded for the fog to clear. The light was still trapped, the mist still glowed. And then, slowly, gently, the temperature dropped to a point where something new could happen. The particles that had been scattered and wild, the tiny charged pieces that had been bouncing the light around, finally slowed enough to settle. They found each other. They came together and formed the first atoms, the simplest ones, hydrogen mostly, and a little helium, the lightest and most ancient elements. And as the particles settled into atoms, the fog began to thin, the scattering eased, the mist that had held the light captive for 380,000 years began, at last, to clear, and the light was free. For the first time in the history of the universe, light could travel in a straight line from one place to another. For the first time, A beam of light could set out and actually go somewhere, crossing space without being scattered, without being bounced, without being caught. The fog had lifted, the mist had parted, the universe had gone from opaque to transparent, from a glowing blindness to a sudden, breathtaking clarity. You can think of it as the universe taking its first clear breath. Imagine standing inside that fog for all those ages, all that blinding brightness, and then, slowly, the fog begins to thin, and through it you begin to see, faintly at first, the first shapes, the first distances, the first glimpse of a cosmos that stretches beyond the mist. That is what happened. That is the moment. Not a birth, exactly, because the universe was already born, but something closer to an awakening. The moment the universe opened its eyes, and the light that was released in that moment, the ancient glow that had been trapped inside the fog for all that time, suddenly poured outward in every direction at once. It streamed across the newly clear space, free at last, carrying with it the warmth and brightness of the infant cosmos, rushing outward the way water rushes outward when a dam is gently opened. That light has never stopped. It has been traveling ever since. For 13.8 billion years, give or take the 380,000 years it spent inside the fog, that ancient glow has been crossing the dark, faithfully, patiently, without rest, spreading outward through the expanding universe, filling it with the faintest echo of its own first morning. And tonight, right now, in this very room, it is here. That is the thing to hold. That is the image to carry gently as you rest. The oldest light in existence, the glow from the first moment the universe became clear, is not a distant memory. It is not locked away in the past. It is here. It surrounds you. It is arriving at your skin from every direction, a gentle and constant rain of ancient light, falling inward from the edges of the visible universe, reaching you after a journey of nearly 14 billion years. We call it the cosmic microwave background. The name is simple and honest. It is cosmic because it comes from everywhere in the cosmos. It is microwave because, after all those billions of years of traveling through expanding space, the once fierce light has been stretched and cooled into microwaves, a form of light too faint and too long in wavelength for human eyes to see. And it is background because it is always there, behind everything, beneath everything, filling all of space with a soft and even glow that never turns off and never fades. The stretching is important, and it is lovely. When that light was first released, it was bright, it was warm, it was the glow of a universe that was still, by any standard, hot, thousands of degrees, a deep and luminous orange, the color of embers. But the universe has been expanding ever since, and as it expanded, the light expanded with it. The waves of that ancient glow stretched out, grew longer, grew cooler, the way a sound drops in pitch when it is pulled thin. Over billions of years, the bright orange glow cooled and stretched until what was once a fierce and radiant warmth became something almost impossibly faint, a whisper, a murmur, a glow so soft and so quiet that it slipped entirely beneath the range of human seeing. But it is still there, all of it. Every piece of that first freed light is still traveling, still arriving, still washing over you, just in a form your eyes were never built to catch. The temperature of this ancient glow, measured with instruments far more sensitive than skin, is about 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. Absolute zero is the coldest anything can ever be, the complete absence of thermal energy. A cold so deep it is less a temperature and more a silence. And the cosmic microwave background sits just barely above it. 2.7 degrees of warmth, the faintest possible whisper of heat, spread evenly across the entire sky. 2.7 degrees. That is all that remains of the first morning. That is what billions of years of stretching and cooling have done to the bright, fierce glow of the infant universe. They have softened it into the quietest warmth imaginable, a warmth so gentle that it takes the most delicate instruments ever built to feel it at all. And yet it is everywhere. It fills every direction. It has no gaps, no holes, no empty patches. Wherever you point a sensitive enough instrument, there it is. The same faint glow, the same ancient whisper, coming from above and below, from left and right, from every corner of the sky, without exception. It is the most uniform thing in the entire cosmos, the most even, the most perfectly distributed, a blanket of ancient light so smooth and so complete that it wraps around everything there is. You are bathed in it right now. You have always been bathed in it. Every moment of your life, every day and every night, the light from the first clear dawn of the universe has been falling gently on your skin, passing through the walls of every room you have ever slept in, arriving from a journey so long that the mind cannot follow it back to its beginning. You have never been without it. It has been there every time you closed your eyes. It has been there every morning and every evening and every still and quiet hour between. And you have never felt it. Not once, because it is too faint for the body to sense, too cold for the nerves to register, too ancient for anything but the most careful instruments to detect. There is something in that idea that is almost impossibly beautiful. If you let yourself rest inside it, you are held always in the light of the infant cosmos. The very first glow the universe ever released is still arriving, still touching you, still completing its journey, and it will go on arriving long after tonight has passed and been forgotten. It is the most faithful light there is. It set out before the stars existed, before the galaxies formed, before any world had cooled enough for water to gather on its surface. It has been traveling since before there was anywhere to travel to, and it found you anyway. Let that be a kind of warmth, even if your skin cannot feel it. Let it be the kind of warmth that lives not in the body but somewhere softer, somewhere quieter, the place where knowing something beautiful is almost the same as being held by it. And here is something else to carry, something small and gentle and strange. That ancient glow is not perfectly smooth. It is very close to smooth. It is the most uniform light we have ever seen. But it is not quite perfect. There are tiny, tiny variations in it, impossibly small differences in temperature from one patch of sky to another, differences so slight that they amount to a few 100,000ths of a degree. And those tiny ripples are the seeds of everything. Every galaxy you have ever seen in a photograph, every star that has ever burned, every world that has ever cooled enough for rain to fall, every ocean, every mountain, every sleeping creature, every thought that has ever formed in a mind looking up at the dark, all of it traces back to those tiny ripples in the oldest light. Because those slight variations in the ancient glow were slight variations in the density of the early universe, places where the fog was just a little thicker, a little denser, a little more likely to pull itself together over time. And over billions of years, those slightly denser places drew more matter to themselves and grew and collapsed and eventually became the galaxies and the stars and the worlds we see tonight. The map of the oldest light is the baby portrait of the cosmos. It is the universe before it grew up, before it became complex, before it filled with spiraling galaxies and burning suns and small blue worlds where someone could one day listen to a voice in the dark. The tiny ripples in the cosmic microwave background are the first traces of structure, the first faint suggestions that the universe would not remain a featureless fog forever, that it would someday become something rich and detailed and alive. And we can see them. We have instruments, careful and patient instruments stationed in space that have mapped those tiny variations with extraordinary precision. They have shown us the face of the infant universe, and it is the most ancient portrait ever taken, a picture of the cosmos when it was only 380,000 years old, still warm from the fog, still glowing from the first freed light, already carrying in its faintest imperfections the promise of everything that would someday be. You are made of what those ripples became. Every atom in you was once part of a star, and that star formed inside a galaxy, and that galaxy grew from a cloud of gas that gathered itself together over billions of years, and that gathering began with a ripple, a tiny warm spot in the oldest light, a place where the fog was just a fraction thicker than the fog beside it. Trace it all the way back, and you arrive at those small, gentle imperfections in the cosmic microwave background, the seeds that the universe planted in its very first clear light. So the ancient glow is not just surrounding you, it is your ancestry. It is the earliest record of the process that eventually, through uncountable steps and vast stretches of time, produced you. The light of the first dawn is both the oldest thing you can ever see and the most intimate, because it is the beginning of the chain that leads to every galaxy, every star, every world, and every warm and breathing body that has ever rested in the dark. Let that idea soften now. Let it become something quiet, rather than something to hold. You do not need to trace the whole chain tonight. You do not need to understand every link. You only need to know that the chain is there, and that it begins in the faintest glow, and that the glow is here, right now, always, falling on you from every direction, the oldest and most faithful light in all of existence. The sentences are going to grow shorter now. Let them. The oldest light is here. It fills the sky. It fills the room. It was released when the universe was young, when the fog finally cleared, when the first clear dawn broke across all of space at once. It has been traveling ever since, nearly 14 billion years, stretched thin by the growing of space, cooled from bright embers to the faintest whisper of warmth. It surrounds you. It has always surrounded you. It will go on surrounding you after you sleep. You are resting inside the afterglow of the first morning. The universe took its first breath of clarity, and the light from that breath is still arriving, and you are here to receive it, and that is enough. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. The oldest light does not need you to watch it. It only needs to keep arriving, and it will. It always will. Let the warmth you cannot feel be a comfort anyway. Let the ancient glow hold you the way it holds everything, gently, evenly, from every direction at once, asking nothing, giving everything, the quietest and most patient light there is. We will move on soon. We will follow the edge further. We will ask what waits beyond this oldest glow, past the curtain of the first dawn, out where even the ancient light cannot go. But not yet. For now, rest here, in the light of the beginning. It has waited a very long time for you. It can wait a little longer while you breathe. We have spent the night so far building toward a boundary. We have drawn the map, traced its edges, understood why the seeing stops, and rested inside the oldest light that waits at the rim. And through all of it, somewhere in the back of your mind, a picture has likely been forming, an image of the edge, a sense of what it might look like if you could somehow travel all the way out there and stand at the place where the seeing ends. And the picture your mind is drawing, gently, instinctively, is almost certainly wrong. That is not a criticism. It is simply how minds work. We are built for edges. We have spent our whole lives navigating a world where edges are real and solid and final. The edge of a table, the edge of a road, the edge of a cliff where the land gives way to air and the falling begins. Every edge we have ever known has been a place, a physical location, a line where one kind of thing stops and another begins. So when we hear the words, the edge of the observable universe, something in us reaches for that same kind of picture. A rim, a boundary, a wall of some kind, perhaps glowing faintly, perhaps infinitely dark, stretching across the sky in every direction. The last curtain, the final barrier, the place where the universe presses its face against nothing and goes no further. Tonight, softly, let us set that picture down. Let us lay it gently on the floor of the mind and walk past it, because the edge of the observable universe is nothing like any edge you have ever known. There is no wall out there. There is no fence. There is no final star pressed bravely against the dark, burning at the very rim of existence, the last light before the nothing begins. There is no barrier of any kind, no membrane, no surface, no curtain you could reach out and touch. If you could somehow travel to the place we have been calling the edge, and if you arrived there after some unimaginable journey across billions of light years, you would find nothing waiting to mark the spot. No sign, no line drawn in the dark, nothing at all to tell you that you had arrived at anything special. You would find only more universe, more space, more galaxies, more stars drifting quietly through the dark, looking very much like the ones you left behind. The sky around you would be full of light, ordinary and calm, the same kind of light that fills the sky from any point in the cosmos. You would look around and see nothing that resembled an edge of any kind. You would see no boundary, no ending, no place where the familiar gives way to the strange. You would simply be somewhere else in the universe, and the universe would look from there very much as it looks from here. Because the edge is not a place out there. It is not a location you could visit. It is not a wall the universe has built at some particular distance from everything else. The edge is a limit of seeing, and it belongs not to the universe, but to the observer. Let us say that again, gently, because it is one of the most important things in this entire night. The edge of the observable universe is not a feature of the universe. It is a feature of looking. It exists because of how light works and how time works and how far things can reach in a given span of years. It is the answer to a question about vision, not a fact about geography. And like all things that are about vision, it depends entirely on where you happen to be standing when you look. Think of it this way. You are here, tonight, in this room, in this part of the world, on this small planet, in this particular galaxy, at this exact point in the vastness of space. And from here, the observable universe extends outward in every direction, a sphere of light centered on you, reaching about 46 billion light years in every direction before the seeing stops. That is your bubble, your horizon, the sphere of everything whose light has had time to reach this specific place. But now imagine someone else, not on Earth, not in our galaxy. Imagine a creature, quiet and thoughtful, resting in a galaxy far from ours, billions of light years away, in some other corner of the cosmos, on some world we will never name. That creature too has a sky. That creature too can look up. And from where it rests, the observable universe extends outward in every direction, a sphere of light centered on it, reaching the same vast distance before the seeing stops. Its bubble is not our bubble. Its map is not our map. The two bubbles overlap, certainly. There is a great deal of shared sky between any two observers who are not impossibly far apart. Both of us would see many of the same galaxies, many of the same distant clouds of light, but the edges of our bubbles would fall in different places. Things that are well within our map, comfortably inside our sphere, might sit near the edge of that distant creature's seeing, faint and old and barely reachable. And things that are beyond our edge, past our horizon, invisible to us, might be clearly visible to that observer, sitting comfortably inside its own bubble, bright and ordinary and unremarkable. And here is the quiet vertigo, the gentle tilting of the floor beneath everything you thought you understood. From that creature's sky, our region of space, our galaxy, our small blue world, our room, sits somewhere near the edge of its observable universe. We are, to that observer, among the farthest and oldest things visible. The light reaching that creature from our direction has been traveling for billions of years, stretching and aging the whole way, arriving as a faint and ancient glow from near the rim of its map. We are, to that creature, what the most distant galaxies are to us. We are the old light at the edge of someone else's seeing. There is something beautifully humbling in that idea, and something beautifully symmetrical too, because it means that the edge is not a fixed line drawn permanently across the cosmos. It is a personal thing, a private horizon. Every point in the universe is the center of its own observable bubble, and every bubble has its own edge, and every edge falls in a different place. And no edge is more real or more central or more important than any other. The universe does not have an edge. Observers have edges. Seeing has limits. But the cosmos itself just goes on. Let us rest inside the symmetry for a moment, because it is one of the most comforting shapes in all of this. There is no center. We stand at the center of our observable universe, yes, but that is not because we are at the center of anything. It is simply because the bubble is always centered on whoever is doing the looking. Move to a different galaxy, and the center moves with you. Your bubble comes along. It rearranges itself around you, draws a new sphere, finds a new edge, and places you at the middle of it all, just as it placed you at the middle here. The universe does not care where you stand. It gives every observer the same courtesy, the same gentle sphere of light, the same personal horizon stretching equally in every direction. And there is no rim. The edge of one bubble is the interior of another. The farthest reach of your seeing is the ordinary neighborhood of some other observer. There is no place in the cosmos that is the edge. There is no location where the observable universe ends for everyone at once. There are only edges, plural, billions upon billions of them, one for every point in space, each one different, each one personal, each one drawn by the same simple rules of time and light and expansion. What we have, instead of an edge and a center, is a vast fabric of overlapping spheres, each one centered on a different point, each one reaching out in every direction, each one sharing most of its sky with its neighbors and differing gently at the fringes. It is like a great calm ocean in which every point on the surface is the center of its own circle of ripples, and no circle is more central than any other, and the circles stretch and overlap and cover the whole surface, without any of them being the one true circle from which the others are measured. The universe has no preferred vantage point, no special place from which the view is the true view. There are only countless vantage points, each one equally valid, each one offering its own sphere of the visible, each one surrounded by its own edge of the unseen. And every one of those edges is made of the same thing. Not stone, not wall, not barrier, only time, only the patient fact that light has traveled as far as it can in the years since the beginning, and beyond that, the letters have simply not arrived. So let the old picture go, let the wall dissolve, let the fence fade, let the image of the last star pressed against nothingness slip away like a dream that was never quite convincing. The edge of the observable universe is not like any edge you have ever touched. It is softer than that. It is more personal than that. It is nothing more and nothing less than the limit of how far your looking can reach, and it follows you wherever you go, and it belongs to you, and it belongs to every other watcher in the cosmos equally. And this is where the night begins to turn. Because if you sit inside this understanding for long enough, if you let it settle the way the breath settles, something begins to emerge from it. A question, not a new question, exactly. It has been with us since the beginning, but now it arrives with a new kind of weight, a new kind of quiet urgency, because now we understand what the edge really is. And what it really is changes everything about what might lie beyond it. Here is the thought. Follow it gently. If the edge is not a wall, then nothing ends there. If the edge is not a physical barrier, but only the limit of our seeing, then there is no reason to think the universe stops at the edge. The universe does not know about our bubble. It does not know where our seeing runs out. Our horizon is invisible to the cosmos itself, the way the horizon at sea is invisible to the ocean. The ocean does not stop at the line where your vision ends. It simply continues, indifferent to the limits of your eyes. And the universe, in the same quiet way, almost certainly continues past the line where our light runs out. Beyond our edge, there is more. We cannot see it, we may never see it, but it is almost certainly there. More space, more distance, more of whatever the universe is made of, stretching on past our horizon, the way the ocean stretches past the sailor's view, unbroken and unhurried, and paying no attention to the small circle of sight that one particular watcher happens to command. And the question that has been waiting all night, patient and soft and enormous, finally arrives in full. If the universe continues beyond our seeing, what is out there? This is not a question about the edge anymore. It is a question about the beyond, about the unseen, about the vast continuation that we know must be there but can never directly observe. The way you know there is more ocean past the horizon, even though you cannot see the ships sailing there. What does the universe become past the point where our light gives out? Does it simply go on being more of the same, More galaxies, more stars, more quiet and ordinary space, continuing in every direction without change, without end. Is the unseen universe just a larger version of the seen one? The same gentle patterns repeating forever? The same kinds of worlds and the same kinds of light stretching on past every horizon into something too large to have a name? Or is it stranger than that? Could the universe, past a certain point, become something different? Something we would not recognize? Could there be regions where the rules themselves are not the same, where the forces that hold our world together behave in ways that would be unrecognizable, where even the ideas of star and galaxy and light have no meaning? Could the continuation be not just more of the same, but something genuinely other, separated from us not just by distance, but by a difference so deep that even the language we use to describe our own cosmos would fail there? These are the questions we will carry into the rest of the night. The deep questions, the ones that live past the edge of everything we can measure and everything we can see. And they are only possible because the edge is what it is. Not a wall, not an end, but a soft and personal horizon. A limit of seeing rather than a limit of being. A place where our vision runs out, but the universe almost certainly does not. So we are going to go there now in the only way we can. Not with telescopes and not with instruments, because no instrument can see past the oldest light. We are going to go there with ideas, with the quiet, careful, wondering thoughts of people who have looked at everything they can see and tried, with honesty and humility, to imagine what might wait in the places they cannot. We have spent 5 parts drawing the map, understanding its size, finding its edge, resting in its oldest light, and learning that the edge is not the kind of edge we imagined. And now the map is going to end, and the wondering is going to begin. What is hiding beyond the edge of everything we can see? Let the question be soft. It has no sharp edges of its own. It is not anxious. It is not demanding. It is the gentlest kind of question there is. The kind a curious mind asks, not because it needs the answer tonight, but because asking it is its own reward. Because turning the idea over slowly in the dark is itself a kind of resting, and the not knowing is itself a kind of peace. The universe continues past our seeing. We know this, the way we know the ocean continues past the shore. And what waits out there, in the vast and quiet dark beyond the oldest light, is what we will wander toward now. Rest for a moment at this turning point. Let the edge dissolve fully in your mind until there is no wall left, no barrier, no firm line. Only a soft horizon, personal and patient, and beyond it, the open and uncharted dark, full of whatever it is full of, waiting for us to wonder about it. We are about to step past the map. So we have stepped past the map. We have crossed the edge of everything we can see, the soft and personal horizon that is made of time rather than stone, and we are standing now in a place no telescope will ever reach. The oldest light is behind us. The known sky with its 2 trillion galaxies and its ancient glow is at our backs, and ahead of us lies the question we have been carrying all night, quiet and patient and vast. What is out there? Let us begin with the answer that most scientists would offer if you asked them gently, over a cup of something warm, in a room where there was no pressure to be dramatic or startling. Let us begin with the simplest answer, the calmest one, the one that carries the least mystery and the most quiet wonder. More of the same, that is the leading expectation. That is what the best evidence we have suggests. Beyond the edge of our seeing, past the farthest reach of the oldest light, the universe most likely continues, And what it continues as is simply more universe, more space, more galaxies, more stars burning in the dark, more quiet worlds turning slowly around their suns, more of the same ordinary, beautiful, unremarkable cosmos that we already know, stretching on and on past our horizon, the way the ocean stretches past the sailor's view, looking much the same out there as it does in here. There is no reason, as far as anyone can tell, to think that the universe changes its character at the place where our seeing stops. Our horizon is invisible to the cosmos. The universe does not know where our map ends. It has no awareness of our bubble, no sense of our edge, no reason to behave differently on one side of it than on the other. The edge belongs to us, not to the universe, and the universe simply goes on being itself. The same laws, the same forces, the same kinds of matter and energy and light, continuing past every personal horizon without interruption. This idea, this gentle and grounding assumption, has a name. Scientists call it the cosmological principle, and it is, in plain language, one of the simplest and most beautiful ideas in all of our attempts to understand the cosmos. The cosmological principle says, in its quietest voice, that the universe looks broadly the same everywhere and in every direction. Not exactly the same, of course. Not identical down to the last star and the last grain of dust. The details change. One region might have a cluster of galaxies where another has a great empty void. One patch of sky might glow a little brighter than another. The small features vary, the way the waves vary on the surface of a calm sea. But the large picture, the overall character, the general feeling of the thing stays the same. Wherever you go, the universe is filled with galaxies. Wherever you go, those galaxies are made of stars. Wherever you go, the same forces hold them together, the same kinds of light stream between them, the same quiet rules govern the way matter gathers and burns and cools. The universe does not have a special region. It does not have a favored corner. There is no place where the cosmos suddenly becomes a different kind of cosmos. No border past which the rules change, or the scenery shifts into something unrecognizable. It is the same everywhere, not in its details, but in its nature. And this idea is not just a hope or a guess. It is supported by everything we have been able to observe. Everywhere we have pointed our telescopes, in every direction, to every distance we can reach, the universe has looked broadly the same. The galaxies we see near the edge of our map are made of the same elements as the galaxies nearby. The light they send follows the same rules. The forces that shape them are the same forces that shape our own sky. There is no direction in which the cosmos suddenly becomes strange. There is no wall of strangeness at the horizon. As far as we can see, the universe is consistent with itself in every direction and at every distance. And if it is consistent with itself all the way to the edge of our seeing, then the simplest and most reasonable expectation is that it continues to be consistent past the edge. That the part we cannot see looks much like the part we can. That beyond the horizon there are more galaxies, more stars, more worlds, more of the same quiet and vast and ordinary wonder that fills the sky we know. Let that settle for a moment, because it sounds simple, but it is not small. If the universe continues past our edge, and if it continues as more of the same, then the true cosmos is far larger than the part we can observe. The observable universe, vast as it is, 93 billion light-years across, holding 2 trillion galaxies, is only a portion of the whole, a fraction. A sample, a small round window through which we are seeing a room that extends far past the frame. How much further? That is where the wandering begins to grow very quiet, because the honest answer is that we do not know. We do not know how much larger the universe is than the part we can see. But the best estimates, based on the most careful measurements of the shape and geometry of space, suggest that it is vastly larger. Not a little larger, not twice as large, vastly, perhaps incomprehensibly larger. Some calculations suggest the whole universe could be so much bigger than the observable part that the comparison is almost impossible to express. Imagine that the observable universe, this sphere of 93 billion light-years that we have spent the night exploring, is the size of a coin, a small coin resting on a table. That is everything we can see. Every galaxy, every star, every point of light in the sky, reduced to the size of something you could hold between two fingers. In some models, the whole universe, the true cosmos beyond our seeing, would be the size of the Earth compared to that coin. In others, it would be far larger still, a disproportion so enormous that the coin and the Earth are not distant enough as a comparison, and the mind simply slides off the number and cannot hold it. And in some models, the universe is not merely large, it is infinite. Let us sit with that word for a moment, carefully, the way you might sit with a candle flame, not touching it, just watching it. Infinite. Not very big, not unimaginably big, not so big that you would need a new kind of number to describe it. Infinite, without end, without edge, without a furthest point. A universe that goes on in every direction, forever, without ever arriving at a boundary of any kind, the way numbers go on forever, the way you can always add one more. This is a real possibility. It is not a fantasy. It is not a metaphor. The mathematics that describe the shape of our universe allow for it, and some of the best measurements we have suggest that it may be the case. The observable part, our bubble, our 93 billion light-years of sky, could be an infinitesimally small piece of something that has no end. A drop of water in an ocean that stretches in every direction without a shore. Now, infinity is the kind of idea that can feel frightening if you approach it too quickly. It can feel like falling. It can feel like the ground has been pulled away and there is nothing underneath, just distance going on forever, meaningless and cold. But let us approach it differently tonight. Let us approach it the way the cosmological principle invites us to, not as an abyss, but as a continuation. If the universe is infinite, and if it is the same everywhere, then what infinity means is not an endless emptiness. It means an endless fullness. It means more galaxies, more stars, more quiet worlds. More of the same gentle and ordinary wonder that fills the sky we know, continuing forever, without thinning out, without growing cold, without becoming strange. Infinity, in this picture, is not a void. It is an abundance, an unending abundance of the same beauty that surrounds us tonight. Let us shrink it down again, gently, the way we shrink these vast things so the body can almost hold them. Imagine an endless meadow, not a meadow with an edge, not one that eventually gives way to a road or a forest, an endless one, stretching in every direction without change and without ending. And in this meadow, everywhere you look, there are wildflowers, the same kinds, slightly different from place to place, one patch a little taller, one patch a slightly different shade, but recognizably the same. Wildflowers everywhere, forever. That is what an infinite universe of the same kind might feel like. Not an infinite darkness, not an infinite nothing, an infinite meadow, full of light, full of the same quiet and ordinary beauty in every direction, never ending, never changing in its essential character, always offering more of the same gentle wonder wherever you turn. You do not have to be afraid of the meadow. You do not have to see it all. You do not have to walk to the edge, because there is no edge. You only have to know that it is there, stretching past every horizon, continuing past every limit of your seeing, full and abundant and beautiful in every direction you could ever turn. And there is another gentle idea resting inside this one if you are still awake enough to receive it. If the universe goes on and on, more of the same in every direction, then somewhere out there, far past our horizon, there are other skies, other nights, other worlds where someone might be looking up, or lying down, or listening to the wind, or resting in the dark, without any knowledge of us, without any awareness that our small blue world exists, as distant from us as we are from them, each of us surrounded by our own bubble of the visible, each of us at the center of our own gentle sphere of light. We will never meet them. We will never see their stars or know the shape of their nights. The distance between us may be so vast that no signal could ever cross it, even at the speed of light, even with all the time in the universe. They are beyond our edge, the way we are beyond theirs, and the space between us is growing larger all the while. But they are there, almost certainly. If the universe goes on, and if it is the same everywhere, then worlds like ours are not rare. They are not special. They are scattered through the cosmos in numbers we could never hope to count, each one as real and as ordinary and as precious as our own, each one hidden from us, not by anything cruel, but simply by the gentle fact of distance and time. There is something deeply restful in that, if you let it be restful. The universe is not stingy. It is not holding something back. If the cosmos is as large as it seems to be, then it has been generous beyond any scale we could imagine, producing stars and worlds and nights and skies in quantities that make our own vast observable universe feel small and tender and specific. You are not in a special place. You are in a typical place. And typical in this context does not mean dull. It means that the beauty here, the beauty of the night and the stars and the quiet dark and the fact that you are alive to witness any of it, is not unique to this corner. It is the way the universe is everywhere. The wonder is not localized. It is distributed evenly, abundantly, in every direction without end. The cosmological principle, in its gentlest reading, is not saying that the universe is boring. It is saying that the universe is reliable. It is saying that wherever you go, however far you travel, however deep past the horizon you could ever somehow reach, you would find the same kind of beauty waiting for you. Not the same details, not the same constellations, but the same kind of night, the same kind of sky, the same quiet and vast and generous dark, filled with the same kinds of light. And there is one more thing to hold, softly, before we let this part come to rest. We said that the universe might be infinite. We said it might go on forever, more of the same in every direction. And if that is true, then something follows from it that is worth resting inside for a moment. Not because it needs to be understood, but because it is lovely. If the universe is truly infinite, and if it is the same everywhere, then in an infinite cosmos, every possible arrangement of matter that is consistent with the laws of physics must eventually occur. Not because anything magical is happening, simply because in an infinite space there is room for everything. Every combination, every configuration, every possible way the atoms could come together and form a galaxy, a star, a world, a creature, a quiet night. Somewhere, impossibly far away, farther than any number could express, there might be another sky very much like yours, another set of stars arranged in patterns almost familiar, another world turning slowly, where someone is resting in the dark, feeling the weight of their body, hearing the silence, wondering about the vastness the way you are wondering now. Not a copy of you, not a mirror, just a reminder whispered across an unimaginable distance that the universe is so large and so generous that it has room for everything, even for this, even for a quiet moment in the dark, even for the gentle, strange beauty of being alive and wondering what lies past the edge of everything you can see. You do not need to believe this literally. You do not need to know whether it is true. It is enough to let the idea rest softly in the mind, like a stone settling to the bottom of a still and quiet pool. The universe may be infinite. It may go on forever, full and beautiful and the same in every direction. And if it does, then the meadow has no end, and the wildflowers go on blooming, and the nights go on falling, and somewhere, always, there is someone resting. That is the first answer to the great question of the night. What lies beyond the edge of everything we can see? Perhaps the simplest and most beautiful answer there is more of the same. More galaxies, more stars, more quiet worlds, more ordinary and extraordinary wonder, continuing past every horizon, abundant and reliable and gentle, stretching on and on in every direction, possibly forever, possibly without end. The universe, in this picture, is not a room with walls. It is a meadow without fences, and we are resting somewhere in it, small and warm and held, surrounded by more beauty than we could ever hope to see, in every direction, at every distance, past every edge, always. Let that be a comfort tonight. Let the endlessness be soft. Let the not seeing be restful rather than sorrowful. You do not have to reach the far meadow. You do not have to count the galaxies past the horizon. You only have to know that they are there, the same as the ones you know, the same as the ones that fill your own small and precious sky, and that the universe is generous enough to keep going, quietly, in every direction, past every place where the looking has to stop. Rest in the abundance. There is more than enough. There has always been more than enough. And the more goes on, gently, past everything, into everything, forever. But the simplest answer is not the only answer. And the night is not yet finished. There are other possibilities waiting, stranger and more dreamlike, and we will wander toward them soon. For now, let the meadow hold you. Let the wildflowers go on blooming past every horizon, and breathe. So here we are, at the end of the journey, at the last and quietest room of the night. We have traveled a very long way together. We began beneath a sky full of old light, learning that every star is a letter from the past, faithfully delivered across unimaginable distances. We drew the map of everything we can see, a sphere of 93 billion light years, swollen far past its age by the gentle growing of space. We stood at the edge of that map and understood why the seeing stops, because light is not infinitely fast, and the universe is only so old, and the space between us and the farthest things keeps stretching. We rested inside the oldest light in existence, the cosmic microwave background, the faint and ancient glow from the moment the universe first became clear, still arriving, still falling on us from every direction. The most faithful light there is. We learned that the edge is not an edge at all, not a wall, not a fence, not a rim, only a limit of seeing, different for every observer, personal and soft, and made of time rather than stone. We wandered past the edge and found the first answer waiting there. More of the same, more galaxies, more stars, more quiet worlds, the same beautiful and ordinary cosmos continuing past every horizon, possibly forever, abundant and reliable and kind. And then we wandered further still, into the dream of the multiverse, the idea that our universe might be one bubble in an endless inflating sea, surrounded by other cosmoses with other rules, other possibilities, other ways of being, each one sealed away from the others, each one as real and as unreachable as a dream being dreamed in another room. And now, at the end of all that wandering, there is one more thing to say, one last idea to hold, and it is, perhaps, the most important one of the entire night. Some of what lies beyond the edge may be permanently and fundamentally beyond reach. Not temporarily, not for now, not until we build better telescopes, or develop faster ships, or find some clever way around the problem, permanently, fundamentally, in a way that no amount of ingenuity will ever change. Let us sit with that, gently. We have said that the expansion of space is carrying distant regions away from us. We have said that beyond a certain distance, the stretching of space is so fast that light from those regions can never reach us, that the letters were sent but will never arrive, that the gap is growing faster than the crossing. And we have said that this expansion is not slowing down, it is speeding up. The dark energy that fills the cosmos, whatever it truly is pushing the expansion to go faster and faster. And as it accelerates, the horizon of what we can ever reach is slowly, quietly shrinking. This means that the universe is not simply too large for us to see all of it right now. It means that parts of it are moving beyond the reach of any possible future observation. Galaxies that we can see tonight, faint and distant at the edges of our map, are being carried outward by the expansion. And one by one, over vast stretches of time, they will cross a line from which their light can never return. They will slip beyond the horizon, quietly, without drama, and their light will stretch thinner and thinner and redder until it fades entirely, and they will be gone from our sky forever. Not destroyed, not ended, just unreachable, carried away by the gentle and ceaseless growing of space until no signal, no message, no light of any kind can ever bridge the distance between us again. And the regions beyond our current seeing, the places whose light has not yet arrived, the galaxies and stars and worlds we have never observed, many of them will never be observed. Their light set out toward us, faithfully, the moment it was free to travel, but the space it is crossing is growing faster than it can cross it, and it will never arrive. It will swim toward us forever, through an ocean that keeps getting wider, and it will never reach the shore. This is not a failure of science. It is not a limitation we could overcome if we were smarter or more patient or more determined. It is a feature of the universe itself, a built-in boundary, a fundamental limit written into the nature of space and time and expansion, as deep and as unbreakable as the speed of light itself. There are things we will never see, there are things we will never know, not because we are not clever enough, but because the universe, in its vast and quiet way, has placed certain things beyond the reach of any possible observer, anywhere, forever. And now, here is the turn. Here is the last and softest reframing of the entire night. The one I want to leave with you as you drift towards sleep. This is not a wound, this is a gift. Let me say that again, slowly, because it matters. The fact that there are things we will never know, places we will never see, mysteries that no amount of looking will ever exhaust. This is not a cruelty the universe has visited upon us. It is not a punishment. It is not a withholding. It is something far kinder than any of those things. It is the universe being large enough and strange enough and deep enough to always have something left to offer, to always hold something in reserve, to never, ever be fully explained, fully mapped, fully understood, fully finished. Think of what it would mean if the opposite were true. If we could see everything, if there were no horizon, no edge, no mystery, no beyond. If the universe were small enough and simple enough and close enough that we could catalogue every galaxy and name every star and know with certainty that there was nothing more, that the map was complete, that the wandering was over, would that not be, in some deep and quiet way, a kind of sadness, a kind of closing, the end of the asking, the end of the reaching, the end of the beautiful not knowing that has driven every curious mind that has ever looked up at the dark and felt the pull of something larger than itself? The mystery is not the enemy of understanding. The mystery is its companion, its partner, its reason for continuing. As long as there is something we cannot see, something we cannot reach, something waiting past the edge of every map we will ever draw, the universe remains alive with possibility. It remains a place where wonder is not only permitted but required, because the wondering can never come to an end. You will never run out of universe. That is what this means. No matter how much we learn, no matter how far we see, no matter how precisely we map the sky and measure the light and trace the shapes of the most distant galaxies, there will always be more. More past the horizon, more past the edge of the edge, more waiting in the places where the light has not arrived and never will, real and vast and full of whatever it is full of, forever beyond our reach and forever beyond our understanding. And that is not a loss. That is the universe being generous enough to never be exhausted, kind enough to never be finished, large enough to always leave something for the next question, the next wonder, the next quiet moment in the dark when someone looks up and feels the pull of the unknown and knows, in their body, that the unknown is not a threat but an invitation. The deepest mysteries are not problems to be solved. They are landscapes to be inhabited. They are the rooms in the house that you never quite open, the ones whose doors are always just slightly ajar, letting a sliver of strange and beautiful light spill into the hallway, reminding you that the house is larger than you knew, that there are more rooms than you have visited, that the exploration is not over and will never be over, and does not need to be over for the house to feel like home. You are home, right here, right now, in a universe so large and so deep and so layered with mystery that no amount of living would ever be enough to see it all. And that is not a reason for despair. It is a reason for rest, because the universe does not need you to understand it fully. It does not need you to map every corner, or answer every question, or resolve every puzzle. It only needs you to be here, to be small and warm and wondering, to look up sometimes and feel the pull, and let the not knowing be a kind of peace rather than a kind of ache. Let us gather the night together now. Let us draw it all into a single soft bundle and hold it one last time before we let it go. You are lying in the dark, and above you, through the ceiling, through the sky, the old light is arriving. Starlight that has been traveling for years and centuries and millions of years. Letters from the past, delivered faithfully, arriving in your eyes whether you are watching or not. Around you, in every direction, stretches the observable universe. 93 billion light years of sky, 2 trillion galaxies, more stars than anyone could ever count, each one burning quietly, each one sending its own light outward into the dark, each one as real and as specific as the lamp beside your bed. At the edge of that vast sphere, the oldest light glows softly, the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the first clear dawn, released when the universe was only 380,000 years old, stretched and cooled by billions of years of expansion into the faintest whisper of warmth. It is everywhere. It is here. It is falling on your skin right now, too gentle to feel, too ancient to see, the most faithful and patient light in all of existence. And the edge is not an edge. It is only the limit of your seeing, personal and soft, made of time and expansion, and the simple fact that light can only travel so far in a universe that is only so old. Beyond it, the universe almost certainly continues. More galaxies, more stars, more quiet and beautiful and ordinary cosmos, stretching on past every horizon, possibly forever. And beyond even that, in the deepest and most speculative reaches of the wondering, there might be other universes entirely, other bubbles in an endlessly inflating sea, other cosmoses with other rules, other constants, other possibilities, other versions of what a universe can be, each one sealed away, each one unreachable, each one as real as a dream being dreamed by someone you will never meet. And some of it, much of it, will never be known. The light will never arrive. The distance will never be crossed. The mystery will never be solved, not because we are not capable, but because the universe is large enough and kind enough to always keep something in reserve, to always hold something past the edge, to always be deeper and stranger and more beautiful than any single mind or any single species or any single civilization could ever fully comprehend. And that is all right. That is more than all right. That is the universe being what it has always been. Vast, generous, mysterious, and gentle with its mysteries, offering them not as frustrations but as invitations, as open doors into rooms you will never finish exploring, as the promise that the wondering will never have to stop. So, let it all go now. Let the ideas grow soft. Let the numbers and the distances and the billions of light years dissolve into the dark around you, the way sugar dissolves into warm water, becoming part of it, invisible, still there, but no longer needing to be seen. Come back to the room, come back to the body, come back to the small and specific place where you are resting tonight. Feel the weight of yourself against whatever is holding you up. Feel the places where your body presses into the surface beneath it, the small warm points of contact, the quiet faithfulness of gravity, that most gentle of forces, the one that holds you here without ever gripping. Feel your breath, not the idea of your breath, but the actual movement of it, the slow rise and fall of your chest, the soft current of air entering and leaving, rhythmic and unhurried, the most patient thing your body does, continuing without your attention, without your effort, without your permission, carrying on the way the light carries on, faithfully, through the dark. The darkness in this room is a small and kind echo of the vast darkness of the cosmos, the dark between the stars, the dark between the galaxies, the dark that stretches between everything there is, holding it all gently, the way this room is holding you. The dark is not empty. The dark is full. It is full of old light traveling, full of ancient warmth falling, full of distances so large they can only be understood as a kind of tenderness, the universe giving everything the room it needs to be itself. You are part of all of it, not separate from it, not looking at it from outside. You are in it. You are made of it. The atoms in your body were forged in stars that burned billions of years ago. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in this very breath, all of it was cooked in the hearts of ancient suns and scattered across the dark when those suns died, drifting through space for millions of years before finding its way into a world, into a body, into you. You are the universe resting. You are the cosmos lying in the dark, feeling its own weight, listening to its own breath, wondering about itself. And the edge you have been wondering about all night, the edge of the observable universe, that soft and distant horizon where the seeing stops, it is not out there, it is here. It is part of your experience. It is the frame of the window through which you see everything, and the fact that the window has a frame is not a limitation. It is what makes seeing possible at all. Without the frame, without the edge, without the limit, there would be no picture in the window, no sky to look at, no old light to receive. The edge gives shape to the seeing, the way silence gives shape to a sound, the way sleep gives shape to a day. If you would like another journey after this one, another slow and gentle wander through the wonders of the cosmos, there is more waiting for you on this channel. It will be here whenever you are ready. There is no urgency. There is no clock. It will keep the way the universe keeps, patiently, without complaint, holding its beauty in reserve for whenever you want to come back and find it. But that is for another night. Tonight is finished. The journey is over. You have traveled from the old light of the nearest stars to the edge of everything visible and past it into the unseen, into the endless, into the dreaming, and all the way back again. And now you are here, exactly where you started, in the dark, in the quiet, in the small, warm room of your own resting body. And that is enough. The universe is vast beyond knowing. It stretches past every horizon. It holds more than you will ever see. And somewhere, right now, the oldest light is still falling, still arriving, still completing a journey it began before the stars existed. And you are here to receive it. Let your eyes stay closed. Let your body grow heavy. Let the breath come slowly now, and slowly go. The universe is holding you the way it holds everything, gently, without effort, without end. You are safe in the dark. You are part of the dark. You are the universe, resting. Sleep now. The light will still be there in the morning. It always is. Good night.